I believe the uranium thesis is stronger than ever. You look at, I only look every now and then, but like even like some of these majors, like Cameco share price, over $140. So I mean, like stuff is moving. Like, it's incredible. Like, and I worked for Cameco back in the day when it was like 20. So it just, yeah, the uranium market and it is good. And I mean, one thing I really love about uranium is that it's a metal that's needed. It's needed. It's a fundamental element that has long-term demand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Triangle Investor Interviews. I'm your host, Lucian Valkovic, and before I announce my guest, just a quick reminder of a disclaimer. This interview and all my interviews are not a recommendation to buy or sell any shares, products, or services. Always do your due diligence and consult with your financial advisor. And my guest today is my favorite uranium lady, Dr. Rebecca Hunter, CEO of newly formed company Geiger Energy. Rebecca, thank you very much for joining me today.
It's very nice to be here. Always nice to be here.
Thank you very much. First of all, congratulations on stepping into the CEO role at Geiger Energy. It has been an exciting milestone, especially for you. A lot of paperwork, a lot of things to do. So, maybe my first question: can you share how was the transaction? How did the transaction unfolded? It was everything. Did everything went smoothly, or like you hoped? How was it?
Yeah, I mean the transaction. I mean, it's any transaction. They take a long time. We started discussions way back in March, actually. Like, it's been a long kind of going.
Yeah.
But once we started getting the momentum, back in June when I took over, and then everything has been pretty smooth. It's just a process that takes that time to put all that paperwork together. It's my first merger, so it was a learning curve, like honestly for me, just learning all the steps, and there's many steps, a lot of which isn't necessarily my steps, but just keeping, there's a lot of lawyers and a lot of stuff to put together. But it's complete, and Beep is now live, and it's really exciting that's done now.
Okay, let's remind our viewers who will be on board. What will happen with James Sykes, who was a prior CEO of Baseload Energy? How will the board looking and the technical side going forward?
So the board is kind of pretty much the same, so Stephen Stewart's the chairman, and James is going to be a director, so director and technical advisor. So I kind of work with him quite a bit, but picking his brain, especially on the old baseload portfolio. So it's basically that, pretty much the same. Janet Micklejohn came over from Forum, so she was the director of Forum, and now she's a director of Geiger. And the overall kind of operational team is mostly the same. It's a bit of a mix between kind of my old crew and the old baseload crew. So we're kind of merging that technical group. Still need to get a VP, so I'm in the process of that. And so that's a big piece. One to take a big load off me because I'm kind of doing a bit of dual role here. So getting that in place, getting a good technical VP. So really looking for a technical, strong operational, someone who really he also really wants, can go into these kind of new districts, which Elon is. It's not a true established major district. So you need that kind of out of the box thinker and person that's willing to kind of step out there and really try to make discoveries.
Yes, definitely. Let's touch on the projects. Of course, we will touch first on Aberdeen. Can you walk us through the key uranium deposits at the Aberdeen project, such as you have Kigavik, you have Kigavik, and how the recent Loki discovery has reshaped the understanding of unconformity style potential over there?
Yeah, so, and I've said this before, like like our project in that the Aberdeen is pretty special because we already have pounds in the ground and they still need to be delineated and they still need to be worked out exactly how big they are, but certainly high grade, very interesting, very significant, zones that we can build on are there. So we got Tadia Kavik. We did not focus on them this summer though, just because, the overall bigger picture here, we have this huge property. We have all these trends that are super interesting. And just to get that momentum and get the eyes up there, up in the Thelon, really want to make a new discovery and just showcase that, this isn't the potential up there is enormous. So we've got Tadagak and Kavik, and then what was really exciting that came out of this summer was the Loki discovery, which is just very new, extreme alteration in the sandstone, and then that first, it's weak mineralization, but uranium mineralization at the sandstone basement unconformity on that grid. And that to me it's a big game changer. It's just small. It's just a small little piece of the puzzle, but it's really showing that we have the same sort of Athabasca systems. It's just getting in there, like I've said before, it's just getting in there. It's drilling more and really finding what's there. So we got several holes into Loki. We're still waiting for the geochemistry and kind of what exactly what that radioactivity was. So it's about 500 600 counts. So we'll see what it translates into actual uranium value. And then just see in general, we have all this alteration on that grid, and it was really exciting. I'll talk about that more too, later press releases kind of showcasing, the rest of the Loki holes and what we found.
Got it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Aberdeen features over 50 high priority exploration targets. Many are, like you said, untested. So you mentioned some. However, what geological indicators or geophysical data are guiding the next wave of target selection beyond the known high-grade intercepts? If I remember, you have 2.2% of user rate over, it was something like 10 meters, 11 meters.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you give me some color on that?
So the main targeting criteria we use up there is gravity, and so we don't have actual conductors like in the Athabasca. We have fault zones. We use magnetics and resistivity, some of the other geophysical methods to kind of show where the faults are. But we don't have those nice conductors, more discrete, conductors to test that you'd use in the Athabasca, which the majority of the Athabasca anyways. And so we use gravity, which is the clay alteration. So, and all these deposits tend to have, fairly significant clay alteration envelopes. So those 50 targets are based on 50 significant gravity anomalies. And so some are tested, and pretty much, 9 out of 10 of them are actual alteration systems. And then, a lot of them are still untested. And so, on top of that, so we've got these kind of, we've got all these targets. We also have trends. And so, the Tadagak trend has mineralization as Tadagak, as well as a fair, about a 30-kilometer fault zone that is untested, that has a few holes into it that show extreme alteration. And so I'll be talking about that too in the coming months about, some of our drill holes along that trend that have, again, these crazy alteration. The lobster grid is one of them that I'll be talking about. Crazy alteration has everything you need. It's just finding, is there a uranium system in there? And then we have, in general, probably 15 trends. And we got the big major Judge Sissons trend, which Tadagak is on. You got the Kavik trend, you've got the Thelon fault trend, and then you've got all these numerous other ones. So
Yeah,
it's
on
a
which trend Orano's Kigavik deposit is on? Is that on the main trend? Can you paint a picture
yeah.
of this
So
trend?
so they have the three main deposits. So their end deposit is on the Tadagak trend. Andrew deposit is kind of off on a subsidiary just south trend, which we have stuff along strike of that. And then Kigavik is just south of the Thelon fault trend. And it's another subsidiary one, kind of between the Thelon fault and Kavik. So you got all these kind of faults ripping through here. and lots of targets. And this summer we did about 5,000 meters, so we didn't do bad. We had a late start because the merger, we weren't able to announce the merger and kind of move forward until the end of June. And then, we had some weather, and then winter came early. Winter's coming. Winter
Yeah.
came early this this year too. So we only got to go to about mid-September. So we did as best as we could. We got to as many trends as we could with the weather, and that's where we're at.
Okay, Rebecca, the upcoming drilling that emphasized the Loki target. What are the primary objectives, such as step-out drilling or resource delineation, and how many meters or holes are planned to build the recent unconformity-style mineralization intercepts?
Yeah, so it's still very much exploration. And so the whole anomaly, the whole Loki anomaly is over a kilometer, It's the whole trend itself. I think it's over, about 1.2 kilometers long. So there's this huge area. I think we need to do a bit more geophysics. I think this is a time where, with the Geiger vehicle, get some really good funding, do some actual resistivity over that area as well, like some detailed resistivities that can actually really show, so you can kind of have both the gravity and the resistivity, which then really shows you the faults and shows you where that clay alteration is. So that I think will help us kind of target a little better, a little more refined. And then, yeah, probably at least 2,000 meters in the Loki. Targeting we did a lot of wide kind of step outs, kind of showing, okay, yeah, the alteration is throughout this whole thing. And now it's kind of narrowing in, chasing up, which faults we think are the ones that are potentially hosting that mineralization.
So you are picking on where you stopped, where you left the project back then, but now you have a bigger budget. You will attack more aggressively the Aberdeen project, right?
Yeah, so that's the hope. And again, because we have so many targets, it'd be really, the real what we really want to accomplish here is getting a lot of good funding and being able to really hammer, not only all these exploration targets, which are super important, probably even going back to Tadagak and start some of that, kind of delineation of some of those actual mineralized zones. But we'll need, 2 or 3 drills to do that. So, but yeah, Loki, really exciting, and lots of targets again this summer we didn't even get to because we just didn't have time, ran out of time and weather.
Sure. And it's not just Aberdeen, you have more than 350,000 hectares across, I believe, more than 10 projects in the Athabasca, including the near surface Ackio discovery at Hook. How will Geiger prioritize targets for expansion?
So I mean, Hook is a really great project, and so what we want to do there is that, Aberdeen is only a summer program. We can't work that one in the winter, and so Hook we really consider as an asset that we can work in the winter and and expand that. So we have the Ackio discovery, but there's also the larger Hook project surrounding it. And so this winter we want to attack that one. And so we have about, 3,000 meters we'll see on budgeting, and we'll be drilling that in the winter of 2026. So, James and the team from before, outlined, some really good clay alteration envelopes, kind of similar. So the Hook project in general, Ackio, is very similar to the Thelon in the fact that you've got these kind of basement hosted deposits, they're lensoid, they're long structures, there's no conductors. And so it's actually extremely complementary to what we're doing in the Thelon, and they use gravity. And so the past, 2024, they did a drill program and they outlined some really nice areas with really extensive clay, just like we see in the Thelon. And so those need to be followed up. And so we're putting a plan together to go back, this winter and do that as well. And we're really excited to be able to have kind of 2 really good projects to work throughout the year.
Yeah, okay, but with Ackio, you plan your let's say midterm plan is to establish the resource over there, right?
At this point, I think it's more just kind of seeing the bigger picture. So for
Okay,
certainly for 2025, it's actually moving outboard from Ackio and
okay,
looking at those clay alteration envelopes.
sure. Can you, Rebecca, can you give me an update on other projects? I know that they are not strictly in your focus right now. However, do you have any plans for doing any exploration work on those properties?
We still have our Northwest Athabasca JV, so that's currently in an option agreement with Global Uranium. So we'll see if we work that. So I mean, we've got a camp in place. We did some work last winter, so we're in discussions with Global, and we'll see if we keep continuing that this winter or in the following summer. So that'll be kind of trickling along potentially. And then yeah, we have Janus Lake, that we kind of have that in our back pocket, with copper prices and trying to drum up interest there because there's a lot of potential there as well. That's a bit different. It's more the energy metal. It certainly won't be a focus of Geiger, but there's some optionality there, especially potentially with a partner if they want to take that on. And then we do have all these other projects. So we have Clearwater, we have
Yeah, I wanted to ask you
so,
about Clearwater.
yeah. So so that's another one that again had some cursory work back with Forum, and they drilled some trends and they're kind of along the triple R, arrow kind of looking at that. And but considering the new successes of next gen, to the south along some of those subsidiary trends, uh, it warrants looking at again. It's really close to the Clearwater actual domain, so it's kind of this little parcel of land kind of sandwiched between all this stuff, but it definitely requires looking at again. And I've always kind of had it also in my back pocket that I've always kind of wanted to think about that one down the road.
Yeah, it's in a good area. It's near Next-Gen deposit. It's PLN is it's near, so it's in a good neighborhood. I always liked that project with when you were at Forum still.
Yeah.
Let's touch on the drilling costs. So you will drill on both in both basins, the Athabasca and the Thelum. How are you managing the costs? I saw the presentation on company website, and it says that lower drilling costs the importance of shallow targets.
Yeah.
Can you give me some color on this?
Yeah, so what we're trying to get across there is with the Thelon in particular, there's kind of a stigma, kind of, that it's very expensive to work up there, and because it's remote, it's a whole different basin. Yeah, there's no roads, so but when you actually look at the cost to do the work, when you're drilling shallow targets and you're able to test a lot of targets, you know, that needs to be taken into account too. So it's not just the costs, but it's also the amount of targets you can test. And so if you're drilling really deep targets in the Athabasca Basin versus shallow targets in the Thelon, it's comparable, if not cheaper, to work in the Thelon. And so that's, kind of the message we want to get across, kind of show that, the Thelon is an area that is very much worth testing and you're not priced out by working there.
Got it. Rebecca, Geiger is fully funded for this year, right?
Yeah, we're fully funded to do our Athabasca work, and then going forward, well, we'll see.
Okay. In the terms of news flow and catalysts, how are we looking in the upcoming period?
So, we'll have some more news flow. I'm going to talk more about the rest of the program at Aberdeen. We're still waiting for Geochem, but I'm going to bring out some, releases and some videos just talking about all the rest of the trends, the lobster trend and Tarzan trend and all these other areas that we tested. And kind of talking about that, just like I did with the Loki stuff. Talk about the rest of Loki as well. And and then Hook, so we do plan on drilling Hook this winter. So So there'll be news releases coming out on that and our plans. And so kind of showcasing again, reminding people about the different grids that we found in 2024 that are interesting, talking about that. Um, yeah, and just going on from there and getting more awareness about Geiger, our strategy, very focused strategy. I mean, get we want to be focusing on a few projects and doing it well. And so we got an Aberdeen project in the summer. We've got a great Athabasca asset in the winter to advance that also has mineralization in the area. So that's what we're doing.
Got it. I know you are a pretty new company that M&A, you are not considering any M&A probably right now. However, how is the long-term approach when it comes to this multiple projects? You have multiple projects in your portfolio. Is
Yeah.
there a plan to stick with your flagships? I would call it flagships, both Ackio and Aberdeen, and maybe to spin out the rest or sell it or bring a partner. Is there any plan over here? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think developing that plan. But yes, we have lots of optionality, like I said, with Janice, seeing if we can move that, you know, see where that goes. But yeah, the rest of the Athabasca portfolio, we have so many projects. And
Yes.
so yeah, w- looking for partners on that who might want to advance it. Or I mean, in general though, all these projects are in good standing, so we don't have to work them. But to bring added value and more momentum to just, what we're doing, it's something definitely on the radar.
Okay, Rebecca, final question. I didn't hear your take on the uranium market as we speak. A lot of positive news basically every day. Do you believe that will help uranium juniors to do this heavy lifting from the uh, current share price levels? The fact is juniors were pretty beaten. Do you see this? Do you see this changing?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we've all been in this for a long time. I believe the uranium thesis is stronger than ever. You look at, I only look every now and then, but like even like some of these majors like Cameco share price, over $140. So I mean, like stuff is moving. Like, it's incredible. Like, and I worked for Cameco back in the day when it was like 20. So, like, it just, yeah, the uranium market and it is good. And I mean, one thing I really love about uranium is that it's a metal that's needed. It's needed. It's a fundamental element that has long-term demand. And so, yes, I hope that, it trickles down to the juniors. Like exploration has been hammered for, over a decade. And, like this, what's really exciting about some of this more recent news about reactor builds is that we need a lot of supply. And I think more than ever, we really have to start thinking, like safe supply, so I know how North America is really going to tie into that. But we also have this other basin in North America to the north that also can be a major supplier of uranium to help this go forward. And so yeah, please, I hope trickle down to the juniors. I think it's time.
Agreed. That was Rebecca Hunter, CEO for Geiger Energy. Rebecca, I wish you luck with all your projects out there, and I wish you luck in your new role as a CEO. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks a lot, Lucian.